Time now for the voice of the land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Always Positive Jay.
Yes, it is another edition of the Voice of the Land right here on the Big Play Network. And of course, we are partnered with LPV Productions, brought to you by Vector Technical. They'll get the right person in the right job the first time. More information on them to come as the show goes on, but they have plenty of job openings to help you get in the right job the first time. I'm Kevin Arnold. He is Always Positive Jay. Behind the proverbial glass, it is Peter Telich, our producer extraordinaire. We do all that because we want to welcome in our guest here tonight, right off the top of the show. He is a legend here in the Cleveland sports broadcasting area. Fox 8 sportscaster, of course, now retired, doing a podcast, and still, I'm sure, probably still doing the ultra marathons and running all the time. He is the one, the only John Telich. John, thank you so much for taking some time to join us here tonight.
My pleasure. Good to be on with you guys, and it's great to see that you guys are getting a lot of folks to hop on and see what you're doing, and just keep hustling, man. This is such a crazy business. Just keep on hustling, and I wish you guys nothing but the best in your endeavors as you move forward.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, John. I mean, like when we initially started this whole thing, I mean, Jay kind of came in, kind of halfway through the process of doing all this. That was what it was all about. It was, trying to bring sports conversations back to talking about things. If you get a little heated because you're passionate about it, that's one way to go. But we're not here to get the clicks, the likes, just because we're going to put hot takes out there. But, just trying to hustle up every way that we can. And it's because of people like you. And it's not to butter you up or anything like that. That's the God's honest truth. I've been a lifelong Cleveland person. And my family grew up, I woke up watching Fox 8 News, and we watched Fox 8 News throughout the day whenever I was home from school. So the evening news, watching your sports broadcast, that's what I tuned in for. My ears kind of tuned out the rest of the news broadcast, not because I didn't like them. It was just, the sports is where my head went.
Way. Exact same way. Like when I knew the sports were coming on, it's like, all right, run in there and watch you guys every evening. It was awesome. You guys are legends, man.
Well, I'll tell you, and you guys are really kind, and it's nice of you to say that. The business has really evolved. Like when I started at Channel 8, first of all, we were CBS back then, and we had only a 6 p.m. and an 11 p.m. newscast, 30 minutes each. Now we do like 14 and a half to 15 hours of news a day at Fox 8, and it's almost like CNN, because we're on every hour doing the news and the sports. And I keep talking like I'm still there, but I'm kind of there with the Friday night touchdown. But back in those days, you had a 30-minute show and you still had 5 minutes to do the sports. And it was kind of cool because there were only 3 channels and you had a huge share of the audience. And then as time has gone on and the internet's gotten involved, and then streaming now here in the present era, there is just so much competition for you, Channel 8 notwithstanding, to carve out your own little niche in the marketplace. And that's what you guys are trying to do. That's what folks in other services or other podcasts are trying to do. Just be able to be out there and to enjoy yourself, talk about sports if that's what you want to do. And so I commend you guys in trying to carve your own path. That's the coolest thing you can do in this business. Kind of be adventurous and go and see what you can make out of it.
And I mean, in today's day and age, like you said, John, I mean, the news travels fast with social media. You feels like a lot of news networks have to be going almost all day long because things change that quickly, or the information gets out there that quickly before the news agencies. Like people used to have to wait till the newspaper came on their steps and then wait till the news came on to get the news of the day or whatever happened. Now it's instantaneous. So to have that reaction, to have, that local touch to it, to have so much emphasis on those news stories, I think really, really helps in each network in each area of the country.
Well, it's kind of cool too, is that, back when you just had the one show a day or 2 shows per day, I would have a story like, I'd get some tidbit about one of the Browns got hurt, or being at a Cavs practice and wanting to break a little piece of news. And I had to really button that thing up like 5 ways to next to nothing in order to be so confident that I could go on the 6 o'clock sports or the 11 o'clock sports and do that story. Nowadays, you're fearing for your life every second of the day. You get up in the morning, you check your Twitter, you check what's going on, what happened overnight. Oh my God, that story, I thought I was going to be able to really flush out today and go on the air with it. Someone had it late last night. There's a tweet. A lot of people put stuff out there that's like half nonsensical or even factual, and yet you have to react to that stuff. So it's the wild, wild west, guys. It's kind of fun. You have to adapt with what you're doing each and every time that you go on the air or you have a podcast or what have you. But that makes it exciting. And the world of sports information continues to evolve, and you just kind of have to stay ahead of that train or it'll run you over.
Yeah, it's definitely different than when I grew up. Like Kevin said, you had to watch the news to get to know what happened in sports, because not all the games were televised definitely back then, or like reading box scores was my big thing as a child. Like I definitely got the plain dealer and I read every box score all the way down. And I like 13, I swear I was a statistician for the Major League Baseball, but now it's just so much different. Like you said, it's just nonstop information and 1,007,000 opinions out there, and 90% of them are actually mean opinions on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, it's a weird landscape to be involved in nowadays, because as you just said, you want to have that hot take, or you want to have something that stands out from everybody else. So you go way out on the limb. Now, I know there's a saying that says way out on the limb is still fruitful because that's where the fruit is. But you can also have the branch break and you can fall 30 feet to the ground and injure yourself quite a bit as well. So you really have to watch it. But there's so many opportunities for people to make a name for themselves. And I was always a reporter. I looked at my job was to give you both sides of the story. You're smart enough to make up your own mind about the situation with the Browns, Cavs, Indians, whatever the case may have been back in the day. And that hasn't changed. But what did change in our business was more of a proliferation of news executives and radio stations and TVs and streaming services and what have you that want stuff that really stands out. And, I guess I could use that word clickbait. But that's what's kind of wanted in order to get people known in the business. And I kind of just kept myself real conservative in the sense that I had opinions, but I tried to refrain from really lavishing them all over the landscape when I was doing the sports. And it worked for me. But I'm not here saying that that's the only way to do it, because times do change, things evolve rather. I started out shooting film, breaking down the film, processing the film, splicing the film, putting stories on the air that were film only. And then it evolved to videotape, and then of course non-linear, and then the state that we're in right now, where it's boom, you can edit a story in record time. You can do it on your phone. So you have to adapt, and that's the fun part of the business, adapting. And I'm even adapting in my retirement, like doing the podcast, just enjoying putting the whole process of putting an interview together, maybe adding some clips to try to push it out there on social media, and just kind of keeping my nose to the ground and smelling what's coming down the pike.
See, I think like a problem with today is you get these younger guys that come up and they'll get like a source here and there or whatever, but they break the rule of what I was always taught, have two sources, and they get the one source, and sometimes it burns them, sometimes it hits, but then everybody has to then react to it, because social media gets so riled up over something, and it could be completely unfactual, and it actually drives me nuts. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, something, nowadays you get more reaction to what you are doing on the air or on the podcast or on whatever source that you may be. But back in early days of my career, the only response that I would get would be phone calls into the station, and I'd always ask them to send it right to my desk. If somebody had a problem with me, they can speak to me. We hashed it out. They said, you're not covering this enough, or this, you said something wrong about such and such. I took what they had, they gave me their input. I took it with respect and moved on. If someone sent a nasty letter to me, I made sure I got their address and sent it back. You guys now in this day and age you're getting it coming from a million different sources. Most of it's from non-credible individuals, but you have to deal with each one at face value. And that's where it can be exasperating. We find out how thick your skin is and how much steadfast you are in your opinion or your sources. And it's just part of the ever-evolving state of broadcasting today and the internet, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, everybody wants to have a source and all that kind of stuff. But John, for what we do, we're in the business of giving opinions. Now we try to give opinions and make sure that other people's opinions still matter. I think that's what gets a little convoluted, I think, in conversations these days, is opinion is given as fact instead of actually opinion. But have to ask your opinion on the Cavs Knicks series. Cavs back in the playoffs, first time since 2018. Lose at home. Just Cavs playoff history over the last 2 decades. You felt like being at home, you should win game 1, but this is a whole different group of players trying to learn as they go, learn lessons, and still have success. What were your thoughts, kind of that difference between game 1 and game 2, and how important was it for this team to have that performance last night?
Well, I'll tell you what, sometimes you think that momentum can move from game 1 to game 2, and what happened in that first game really is going to set the tone for what will happen in game 2. Well, early on in game 2, we saw a little of what went on in game 1, but then the way Darius came out on fire with so much confidence, and the way the Knicks ran people at Donovan and had 2-3 guys around him a lot, he adjusted his game, and it was just a beautiful thing to see. I thought it was a come-of-age moment in some ways for Darius. He showed a great deal of confidence with the basketball. I know in the first game they would run the secondary defender at him that was a long defender and made him a bit skittish, if you will. I still remember Butch Davis calling the quarterback skittish, but that's a 2 years ago. But it did make him skittish. And but then in the second in the Tuesday night affair, he was releasing shots from 3-point land before they could come to him. He just looked so confident. And Donovan Mitchell, everybody would say, "Oh, the guy's just a scorer." I totally disagree with that. He was happy to play second fiddle. And in some ways, he did play second fiddle, and Karis LeVert did as well with his great performance. I just thought it was a great bounce back time, and great to see the energy at the field house and making some of the people that were there. I was not there last night. I was watching on the tube, making some people say that it did feel like the energy that you had back in the LeBron playoff years. But they played a little bully basketball, which I think they need to do against the Knicks. So it's going to be fun to see what happens. I got a feeling they're going to come back to Cleveland at 2-2, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, it's always important to get one when you go into a series like this, to get one on the road. And LeBron always talked about he loved going on the road because he wants to silence. He loves hearing that silent arena when you go on the road. Now, of course, we do switch over to game 3. They go to what is considered the Mecca of basketball, Madison Square Garden. The Knicks are going to make their adjustments. That didn't seem like they made too many from game 1 to game 2. How does this team go on the road and learn the lesson of what it's like to play a playoff game on the road, but not suffer that first loss like they did in game 1? How can they maybe use momentum and take game 3, the more important, I would say, of the 2 games, with a quicker turnaround from game 3 to game 4?
Well, I think first of all, I think Donovan's going to come out in game 3 and just do what we saw when he scored in the 40s in some games this past year, and he had a lot of 40-point games, to be honest with you. So I really expect him to come out in New York with, as you mentioned, the huge stage that is MSG, and to show the basketball world why he is an all-NBA talent and why he can take a young team that's still learning how to win, take them on his shoulders, and push them to a victory in game 3. And I think it was a great acquisition. It's been fun to watch him play. It's been fun to see how they really are an unselfish basketball team. JB did a great job setting the culture there with them. But they're still going to have to grow up. All of them are going to have to grow up on the road in a very difficult place to play basketball with the star-studded fans that come to watch the Knicks play, with the media. I know Stephen A, will be lilting his eyelashes at his beloved Knicks during the course of this game. And I look forward to it, but it will be a kind of come-of-age moment for a lot of these young Cavaliers if they can go to the Garden and play solid basketball and make a statement. That was fun the other night because, it really I remember so many of those playoff games where they would take a lead of 20, and you just felt that there was no way, the way they were playing, that they were going to have this thing in danger. And it really wasn't even the case. Last night, I thought the Knicks got it down to like 15 or something. Then they hit a couple of threes, pushed it out. Danny Green, there was an interesting use of, here's a guy that's been there, has won a couple of rings, certainly can be effective with the three-point shot. And early on in that game, Okoro got those 2 fouls. And so, he's out of the game. What if LeVert does not come in and isn't hot, or Darius didn't have his type of game, and it was grinding down to more of a defensive affair? We might have seen more of Isaac Okoro. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think he sniffed the court after he was taken out early.
No,
they went another direction, which was a good direction and smart coaching on JB's part to go with the other guys as opposed to stick Isaac back in there.
Now, a lot has been made from the mainly New York fans about the last play with Jared Allen fouling their player when he went to the Randall, and they were saying it was a hard foul, he should be suspended, and making a big deal of it. That's them saying this is playoff basketball. I don't care if I'm up 20, if I'm up 1, we ain't taking a playoff, like not one. And I loved it, because I'm not going to lie, in that third quarter, when I see that 20-point lead, my big worry is I'm going to get complacent. Oh, we got this in the bag. And you see these teams come back, and then when they chip away at that, once they gain that lead over a huge lead, it's a monster of a momentum shift, and teams just can't overcome those. And we didn't do that this time. We kept our foot on the brakes, not the brakes, on the gas.
This team has been a team to do that, too. This young team has been a team to do that, to get big leads this year and let teams get back into it and put themselves in dangerous spots too often.
So what was your thought on that play?
Well, first of all, I didn't think there's anything out of the ordinary, and I'm all for a young player of his caliber making a signature kind of a foul, just to keep things going into the next game, and to keep that, we're playing bully ball right now, and we bullied you all over the floor tonight. And our sharpshooting young guard had a great night. Karis LeVert had an outstanding evening, and Donovan was Mr. Assist guy. Everything was working on all cylinders. And I think the way they were aggressive on the defensive end and blocking out and getting to the boards and doing the way they did, I just think you play that well right to the end, and that's what happened. And I don't think anything will carry over for it, other than the Cavs just having that mentality that, we mean business. We've got an opportunity to go up 2-1 on Friday night, and by God, we're going to go out there and get it done.
Last question on last night's game and this series. I think, we talked about that play, and you don't want to see anybody get hurt. But do you buy into, you don't want a team, as much as you're beating them down in just one game, in a series like that where you have to see them in the very next game? Do you buy into, you don't want, that's a type of play where you don't want them to gain any sort of momentum or confidence going into it? They have to find that in their film work instead of what they did on the floor.
Well, this will be all up to how Tibbs does his job and alters his look at how they come out in game 3. And, whether or not he can do more things to allow Brunson to have a better game, who did not have that great of a game in game 2. So I think it's on, Thibodeau and how he's able to get the Knicks up for this game. But I didn't have a problem with that. I know there's the worry that if you if you bark at the monster, the monster's going to come out and get you on the next time around. I don't think there's any concern about that, but it will be a raucous atmosphere. It will be something that some of these guys, certainly have not experienced, especially on a playoff level. So we'll see what they're made of. And they've got, I look at it, 2 chances to win 1 game in the next couple, bring it back to Cleveland, and then take the advantage and get things done in this series the best that they can. I'm looking forward to Friday night. It's going to be fun to watch.
I'm so pumped.
It's going to be so much fun. We know that New York knows the game of basketball, and they're going to, they're going to show up because they've been looking for playoff basketball, and they don't like how easily they went out of last year's playoffs. So they think that they have the Cavs right where they want them, and they definitely want to take Game 3 and take the games at home. So the Cavs need to be ready and grow up very quickly in those circumstances. John Telich is our guest. Now, John, of course, appreciate you joining the show and working through some of our audio issues we had to start the show as well. But before we do let you go, I have to at least say that, I know how much you guys enjoy doing Friday Night Touchdown. And that is, I've been a big fan of high school football. High school football in my city, the city of Wickliffe, was huge. I would sit there and watch the games. I wasn't one of those kids just running around the stadiums and things like that. And of course, being a part of the band, like the first thing I did when I got home was turn on Friday Night Touchdown, not just for our game to see if we were on there, but to see all of the games, because it is a big high school football thing. And now being able to cover high school football games the way we do with our producer of this show, Peter Telich, and live stream games that came about during COVID, during 2020. Yeah. I just have to take this opportunity to say thank you to that, because you were a major influence in that. Are those some of your favorite times being a broadcaster, is covering high school football games?
Without a doubt. And by the way, Wickliffe, I was just there today with my dog Scarlett. I got about 5 miles on the trails behind Wickliffe High, Pete's Pond there.
Yep.
Then we went up and did a whole bunch of laps on the track. I've got something coming up in about 9 days from now. But I love doing high school coverage. We did it earnestly way back in the mid 80s. Casey Coleman and I used to host a show that aired at noon on Sundays when we were CBS, and it ran for a half hour. It was all high school football. And it would be games from Friday night and also Saturday night, which meant Casey and I would be in the studio at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, putting together the show that would air on tape at noon on Sunday. And that kind of set the stage for our emphasis on high school football way back when. And we continue to do it. And then in the mid to late 90s, Rizzy joined us in 97, 96, 97. And we really even ramped it up even more so. And I absolutely love it. We treat it like the NFL Today does, or the guys on Fox do, the NFL. It's very important that we have the names of kids that make the plays. We say their names on TV. We have it correct. And the reason our show works, I believe, is our producer, Nick Kovac. He's a Benedictine guy, and he is one of the best producers anywhere. And he has this thing set up with contingency plans. It's evolving as the night begins. It changes from hour to hour, and he shepherds us from the early evening hours all the way up until 11 when we go on live. And then he's still changing as the show goes on. I absolutely love it. And I've been so privileged to see the Robert Smiths of the world when they were kids, or the Bernie Kosars, or the Bob Golicks, or, Kareem, Mitch Trubisky, Maurice Clare, all these people over the years that have been great high school football players and have gone on to do great things in their careers. And that's what I get a big charge out of. And that's why when I decided to retire day to day at Channel 8 early in 2022, my boss has said, we want you to continue doing Friday Night Touchdown. Do you want to? And I said, are you kidding me? There's no way on earth that I'm going to stop doing Friday Night Touchdown. So I'll do that until they wheel me out of there. They'll probably wheeling me out of there about the same time they wheel Dan Coughlin, who will be about 95 when I'm like 80. So yeah, the commish. So I love it. Thanks for mentioning that. And I appreciate you saying that it goes back and resonates with you, because we absolutely love doing it, and the ratings reflect it. everybody wants high school football, and they watch Friday Night Touchdown because they believe we do a real good job with it, and we'll continue to do that.
Before we let you go, our friend and your friend, we'll call him Tony in Beechwood, wanted me to ask you, what is your all-time favorite Dick Goddard story?
Oh gosh. Well, Dick Goddard, we were at the Tangiers back in the early 90s, I think. It had to be beyond 93 because Mike Fratello was part of this story. We went to dinner with my wife and I, Tim Taylor, his wife, Dick Goddard, and his girlfriend, and Wilma Smith was there, and her husband, and then Mike Fratello was there with a date, and Mike Fratello and Wilma Smith did a rendition of Sonny and Cher's "I Got You, Babe," which brought down the house. And then Goddard thought that he was supposed to go up on stage and try to one up these guys, which he tried to do. But the case in point is that Goddard was the most, down to earth guy. He really was our Usain Bolt. He was our Michael Jordan, our LeBron James, and he was the reason why in so many ways we had so much popularity, because he was a strong. The beautiful thing about Cleveland is that the way TV's set up is that, and a lot of us are local people, there's a degree of reverence for folks that kind of are, Clevelanders, if you will. And I've always enjoyed and been very grateful that people have brought us into into their homes and let us feel comfortable or broadcasting the news to them. And Dick was like on another level, so many levels above myself or Tim Taylor or Casey Coleman or Riz or Robin or whomever. Goddard was our franchise, and we loved the guy so much, and he really was sincere about the four-legged the critters, and would get very ticked off if he heard of any animal abuse anywhere. He was just a great. I'm looking at a picture of his last day on the air on my wall in my office here. And you've got all these, broadcasting icons from Tim Taylor, to Bill Martin and Lou Magley, all these people, and Robin, giving him his due. And as much as I'm not sure exactly how much he got paid, but I know it was good and very good. But whatever he was being paid probably could have been even more for what he meant to Fox 8 and the success of our station. He was a hoot. He was.
And an absolute and legend, and one of the things that I connected with him so much on was his emphasis on the four-legged friends. Same. Because that's what my family's been all about, and again, growing up watching you guys on Fox 8, I think that was always one of those big things, one of those big segments for us to kind of tune into, is hearing about the dogs that do get adopted and the next ones that are kind of available for people to go into a good home. So that and the Woolly Bear Festival and all of that kind of stuff has definitely been definitely a treat to at least see him. And of course we wish his family all the best, and a legend that was lost. But
he sure was. He was the greatest.
He's going to leave an indelible mark on Cleveland, that is for sure. And so will you, John. I just want you to know that. And we can't thank you enough for taking the time tonight. We went a little bit long, but this was an absolute treat. We hope to have you on the show again, and hope to talk to you down the line. I'm sure I'll see you on some high school football sidelines as well.
I look forward to that. Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate you guys, your efforts, and getting your show out there, enjoying talking sports, and just having a good time, man. Yep. Well, that's what sports is all about. We can forget about our problems for a little while, enjoy conversation, and have a good time. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That is what we're all about, is talking sports and having a lot of fun. Well, that was John Telich, an absolute legend here in the sports media industry here in the city of Cleveland. We'll hit a break and come back. We'll react to that. We'll give our reactions to Game 2 and what to look for in Game 3. So much more to come right here on the Voice of the Land on the Big Play Network.
Whether you're looking to hire new talent or start a new career, Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that has helped thousands of job seekers advance in their career with reputable partners throughout Northeastern Ohio. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. With an above-average hire-in rate of 1 in 4 candidates, Vector works hard to connect the right person with the right opportunity the first time. Vector Technical hires for skilled manufacturing and light industrial work and is sure to have a career that you've been looking for. To learn more, visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com.
Welcome back to the Voice of the Land. Yes, we are already 2 segments worth of time in, and we've only hit 1 commercial break. So we're going to hit a break here quickly. But before we do that, I mean, what an absolute thrill to have John Telich on with us for the first half hour of the show. Not just talking Cleveland sports and what just happened in the Cavs game, but more so the stories behind the scenes, like what his career took him through 41 years in the industry, how he saw it change and what it's become today.
Dude, he's just a legend, man. He's probably got stories upon stories upon stories that we could have easily just gone a straight hour.
Yes.
Like we were talking in the break, like that was one of the fastest half hours of my life, man. It went flying by. And
you hear the emphasis on, the reason why. And again, it wasn't to butter him up. I mean, he's one of the guys that I looked up to, and, starstruck wouldn't be the right word for it, but it's like, it's a true honor and a privilege to be able to talk to him. And now kind of like trying to build towards that level, like being in a place to cover the same stuff that he has done for so long. And someone that I looked up to and was, I don't want to say jealous, but, like, getting to go to all these games and like be there on the front lines of all this stuff. It was such a thrill to talk to him. And like I said, hearing him talk so passionately about putting the spotlight on these student athletes. And yes, it is just high school football, but it's opened that doing stuff like that has actually opened avenues for other sports to have spotlights on them, for us to cover with CBC TV, volleyball, soccer, basketball, swimming, all of these other sports, because
it showed people that we want to see our high school sports.
Yes,
we may even have some. We may have some tennis and track coming up for CBC TV as well.
I mean,
there you go.
We'll
cover anything, man.
We'll cover anything.
If I wasn't going on paternity leave, then I would be all for being a part of that.
Pickleball tournament. We'll cover it.
Jay's gonna be doing play-by-play for track. Because I would.
This guy's running really, really fast in a circle. Go, go, go.
It's like Boban, whatever is Boban from. I know he's been all around the NBA, but he's on those State Farm commercials, and like
I know exactly.
He dribbles the ball. He dribbles the ball. He dribbles someone. He dribbled again. He dribbled again. He pass it. He pass it. He pass it.
To get back to John, I love how he looks out for the people like us and the younger people coming up. Like, we'll have him on, and now that we're on Wednesdays, we can actually have him on as Jay Crawford, and I'm not going to tell his story. I'll let him tell it. But I got to hear a conversation between him and John, and when he was coming up, and how he reached out to John, and he wrote him a letter, and you heard him say he'll write you back. He wrote Jay Crawford back. Without John Telich, there's no Jay Crawford in sports. I'll put it that way. It was an incredible story. I cannot wait to have it set on these air.
It's the people that, to make it in this industry, I mean, some part of it is you have to go out to, the middle of nowhere to cover sports or whatever, to then make it back to the big city if you're from that area. But the other part, and nowadays you don't have to necessarily do that because of social media, because of the way the content creation can get your name, image, and likeness out there very easily and very quickly. The other piece, though, to take that next step and not just be that content creator, but be in a position to do stuff like what we're doing and other radio stations, TV networks are able to do on a daily basis, is people like John that take the younger people under his wing, are willing to give that, not like he's on some pedestal or whatever. Like, I'm not helping anybody else. Like, I did what I needed to do. I had a great career. I don't need to help the next generation. That's not who John is. And there's a lot of people in this market that aren't like that. And that is why the cycle, it never stops here in Cleveland, as much as there is to talk about in sports and in the scene in general, because there are so many people that have been doing it for a long time that help that next generation, and they get established and they take those next steps because they start with wherever the technology is there, And then they get to go through the journey of how it develops over time, and they hopefully take on what they learn from their peers. And then when they get to a position, I hope I get to a spot in my career to do this, to help the younger people do that, to help them take that next step and take this industry to those next levels.
Couldn't have put it better, Kevin. I couldn't put it
You know,
better.
you say that all the time. Like, I'm always looking for these reactions. And then
It's when you put something
All
so
right,
good, it's
well-
like, well, what do you want me to do? Just I'm not going to regurgitate what you just said.
I know. There's just times when I say that, when I say something, I get on a roll, and then you just say, I can't say it any better myself. I'm just like, this is Jay testing me. Like, how professional can you be, Kevin? Transition out of here. Well, with that, everyone, we will take a quick break and tell you exactly how you can get your voice to land.
I got a retraction on the other side of the break.
Retraction, and hey, we got to react to the Cavs game as well. Like, I
Mhm.
got
It's all tied together as my retraction.
I got stuff to say. So we'll be right back right here on the Voice of Land on the Big Play Network.
Are you struggling to hire the right talent or maybe even find the right career? Vector Technical makes it easy. Since 1992, Vector has provided Ohio employers with a reliable process for hiring and have helped thousands of job seekers advance in their careers. Vector Technical is more than just a temp agency. We invest time to get to know each client and candidate personally. Vector places people in job opportunities that they are truly excited about. Interested in learning more? Visit our website at www.vectortechnicalinc.com to see a full list of our current job opportunities and to find out what Vector Technical can offer you.
Get your gear at voiceoftheland.com/shop.
And welcome back to the Voice of Land right here on the Big Play Network. I don't know why I just went professional voice there. I got myself in a weird spot transitioning out in that last break, but this is the Voice of Land. I'm Kevin Arnold. He's always positive. Jay, Peter Telich, he is known as Audio. We can't thank Audio enough.
He pulled some miracles out for us today.
We were having some issues to start, and when there's issues with an artificial intelligence involved, you know that the technology is as helpful as technology can be. Boy, it can be a pain in the you-know-what.
Well, pretty much what our computer system just died and you had to replace it.
Yeah.
Day of. Yeah. That's a fun job, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then figure it out on the fly when you got a legend coming on. I'm sure it's not stressful at all for Audio.
Not at all.
I'm glad he's a computer system and has no audio emotions.
Yeah. What Jarvis was to Iron Man, Audio is to the Voice of Land.
All I can say is the good thing there's no one has access to the cameras, the security cameras in this studio except for me. So some choice words may have been uttered.
Well, I think people would also.
Were they said in binary?
Hex, but yeah.
Well, we did have John Telich on, and we got a chance to talk to him about all the stories from Fox 8, his career, but we also touched on the main sports story in town, and that is Cavs in the playoffs, and they are now 1-1 in the series with the Knicks. We would have liked to have seen them win both home games. You feel like you left one there in game one when you only lose by 4 and you really didn't play well, and you got the lead back in the fourth quarter where we've seen this team kind of finish things out. When they're behind and they come back, it seems like once they get in front, they're able to close the door. Credit to the Knicks. They had all the momentum in that game, and they took game one. But you gotta give a lot of credit to JB, to Darius, to the bench to step up, to take what they learned in game one, their first ever playoff game together, and boy, come out and look exactly the opposite in game two and be the team that we want. We know that they are. They know that they can be.
Can beat anybody. This is what I've been saying. This team can beat anybody in I don't care, East or West. I don't give a damn which pick either one. When they play like that, that is their A game. They are playing defensive ball while still passing the ball. Not like you said. Know why we lost game one? One of the biggest reasons they started playing the stanky leg offense.
Yeah.
They got everyone else into a funk. And you pointed out perfectly. No, they played team ball. They took what was given to them and they executed. And they weren't shooting themselves in the foot left and right like game one. Like when you, not going to single them out, but when you miss wide open layups, it just ain't your day. Like, it just ain't your day.
That was frustrating.
Oh, it's driving me nuts. Like audio said, thank God there wasn't a camera on me, because I would have probably been canceled.
The lack of rebounds, in game one really just was,
Yeah.
it was driving me crazy, because it's, you're right, the stinky leg off. That's a good way to put it, because it's like there was no one under the basket for so many of those shots. Like, they came down, they passed it around a little bit, and they just tossed it up, and no one went to follow up. And at the beginning of game 2, I was a little nervous there, because I was on my way home, and it was I think 12-6. They were down.
They punched him right back in the mouth.
They did,
figuratively and literally. Like, the one dude was bleeding all up in his mouth. I ain't gonna lie, I was like, yeah, that's what you get.
When you guys talked about the rebound in game 1, not to dwell on that, because it's a more positive feel today after game 2, but this team is going to have to remind themselves of the bad taste in their mouth that was in game 1, because you don't want to taste that again in this series, or at least very often in this series. And what was so frustrating about the rebounding, it was, and growing up playing basketball, and in high school, we had this drill where it was, 3-on-3, and 3 guys around the perimeter. One would just chuck up a shot that was supposed to miss, and then you had to, or the coach would chuck it up and miss it, and the 3 defenders would have to box out. So it was, trying to use that aggressiveness to learn how to offensive rebound, but also get the defensive rebound. You had to get like 3 or 4 in a row to switch out with the next 3 in the drill. And if anybody's gone through a drill like that in the past, that there's days where alumni would come back too. These guys that are now like just in the gym all the time, they're just jacked and they're just allowed to push you around. There's going to be no foul calls or anything like that. There was days where they were getting a lot of the rebounds to start. It got to a point, though, if you're out there, you want to get the next group in there. So you did whatever it took to go get that rebound. The fact that never happened in that game, they did, like, there was no pride to say, like, you've been beating my ass this whole time. One rebound is going to change this game. One prevention of you guys getting an offensive rebound is going to change this game in our favor. We're not just going to take the lead, but we're going to get that next basket to hold on to the lead. That never happened. And that was so frustrating. So that was what was so good yesterday was, guess what? You punched us in the mouth. How are you going to react when we do it to you? And they found out that the Knicks aren't so tough when they get the aggressiveness towards them, or the physicality is towards them. Is every game going to go like that? If the Cavs are on a string playing defensively the way they did last night? No. Shots are going to go in. But you got to make this team earn it, because they're not as good as they want to tell you they are. They're a lot better than what fans thought they were coming into this, than saying, and I know fans are going to fan and they're going to say, oh, Cavs sweep, or Cavs gentlemen sweep the Cavs in 5. I knew this was going to be a tough series. The Knicks are a good team, but they're not as good as a lot of people want to preach that they are, like Stephen A. Smith and these people that Cleveland are reacting to today. They're not as good with that. If you are physical with them and you are attention to detail on defense and you are aggressive, guess what? They might go on a 6-0 run, an 8-0 run. The game of basketball is a game of runs. But how do you stem the tide? And that's exactly what the Cavs did yesterday. You're going to have to do that a lot more, and only as a unit of 15 guys and the coaching staff, because it really is. In New York, it really is the common cliche of Cleveland against the world. It is Cleveland against everybody. It is the Cavs, small group of people that they bring to New York, against everybody, because New York is coming for you. The fans are going to try to make them feel you. The team is going to try to make you feel that energy, that pressure of the playoffs in an opponent's building, I guess I would say. How do you respond? And I don't want to have to learn the lesson. Like JB always says, I don't want to learn a lesson in a loss. I want to learn as the game goes, and at the end of the game, close it out.
This reminds me of my favorite movie quote. I'm not going to quote it word for word, but it's from Rocky. And he talks to his son. He's like, life is tough. It's going to come at you. It's going to beat you down, and it's going to continue to knock you down. And it ain't about how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you can get up and hit back, get back up and hit back. And that is how winning is done. And exactly what they did.
It is.
And I hope that game 2 is just a microcosm of what this team is about to become. Because, like I said, them not losing that 20-point lead, like if it was the 4th they would have gained it, I would have been more comfortable, but it was the 3rd, and that's what made me nervous. I'm like, oh man, please just don't let these guys creep back in, because that just they didn't. They never let go of the gas, not even to the end. And you got Knicks fans all up in a roar because Jared Allen's trying to the end. Like, I love that he did not let that dude know, I don't care if I'm up 20. You ain't getting no easy dunk on me. We're not stopping. We're not taking our foot off the brakes. But right now, they're all gas, no brakes, and they have to stay that way. This is playoff basketball. You can't. Game 1, you took, I don't know how many times you shot yourself in the foot, but it was pretty much a 1-possession game. If you were only down by 2 when we had the ball last and not 4, that game is completely different. Maybe you force overtime. Maybe you make a game-winning 3, but you shot yourself in the foot, and just a couple possessions that you could have had buckets on made the difference at the end. And please, can we give some JB, our coach, some credit? Because, man, did he get those guys back on track.
Everybody's so willing to run him out of town when we lose. And when we lose like a big matchup in the regular season or even after game 1 of the playoffs, like ready to run him out of town. Everybody is so quick to the criticism and negativity. They're not as quick to that with the team that, plays the sport that was invented an hour south of there. But
they're pretty critical of them too.
But they're willing to come back on.
They'd rather fight with each other on Twitter.
Yeah, they'd rather do that. That's for sure. But you gotta give credit where credit is due. And you mentioned the Jared Allen play. I will disagree with John Telich in this. He said that play won't linger over. It will on the Knicks side of things.
If you let it.
If you let it, that's exactly where I was going to go. The Knicks are going to try to use that. Cavs, you firmly believe, and and we're saying it too. Now we're going to be considered biased because we're Cleveland Cavaliers fans, but that's not a flagrant foul. In the run of play, that's not a flagrant foul. No. He's not winding up. He's not swinging. He didn't.
No, he went for the ball.
He was going for the ball. Now, was he late? Absolutely, he was late. Is that a scary fall? Absolutely. I don't want to see Julius Randle go out. I don't wish injury on anybody, but I also want to beat the Knicks at their best. We want our best against their best. You don't want to have anybody give you any excuses. So, yeah, I don't like to see that. And maybe the better play there is when you're up, you kind of let the 2 points and you continue to play on. Why Thibodeau had Randle in there at that point as the Cavs were already getting their guys out, I don't know. That's on them to answer. That's on them to figure out. But you can't if you truly believe and you trust in each other and you know that Jared Allen had no malicious intent, don't let the Knicks use that as fuel. Don't let the fans use that as fuel. They're going to try to get under your skin with that. Tune it out. Be one unit. Go on the road. And at least for one of those 2 games, shut New York the hell up. Because I hate New York, just like the fans chanted last night. New York sucks. And if New York's got a problem with people saying you suck, you're probably going to chant Cleveland sucks. I don't give a darn. You suck. That's all there is to it. You bought 27 championships in baseball. You think that your Knicks are supposed to have every big player. Guess what? You haven't been relevant since the 70s. So you suck.
Well, then. On your point about Jared Allen and people thinking he's a malicious player, like he literally proved in that game he's not a malicious player and he's a good-hearted dude. He put a hard pick on Brunson, and Brunson didn't see it coming, and he just got leveled. What did he do right after that? Did you notice? He went down and picked him up like, hey, are you okay? Are you okay? That's a playoff. Like most people just go on like, all right, this dude's down. We're up a guy. He literally bent over to make sure the dude was like, okay.
Yeah.
Is that a malicious player? Absolutely not.
No, if you're Draymond Green, you'd kick him in the chest.
And to your point with New York fans, and I told you I had a retraction. I was wrong.
I wanted to tell you, but I just
Andy Billman pointed it out. He goes, they've just been quiet and dormant. Now that I see they're just like Yankee fans, and I was wrong. I retract everything I say about Knicks fans. Kevin, you're right. They suck. Come in my house trying to do a New York chant. That's what you get. You get told you suck. And then you're going to sit there and say, oh, Jared Allen needs to be suspended. Like, dude, go enjoy your closet for $200,000 a month in your human-sized rats and your overhyped pizza. I don't give a damn about you or your city.
Yeah. I've never visited New York. Now, I mean, I would love to, and especially like New Year's Eve. Like,
I'm sure the pizza's probably good.
Yeah, I can't try it. So you know what? If you got some gluten-free, dairy-free New York style thin crust pizza, I'll try it. Like I won't. We're nice people here in Cleveland. I'm not saying there's not nice people in New York too. There's probably plenty of them.
Like all 12 of them.
I'm just saying from a sports hatred standpoint, New York, you suck. And they're going to bring out all the stops. They're going to bring in all the chants.
See, my problem is the New York people going online and just being like, oh, I can't even imagine what it'd like to live in Ohio. Thinking Ohio is something. They got nothing going on. Like, dude, you have no idea how nice we are. Like the sneakiest, nicest area.
Let them think that, because God knows we don't need them here.
No, because if they found out how nice it was here and what we have to pay and our awesome school system and our great like metro park systems we got and all this stuff, like, dude, I enjoy my 4 seasons. I enjoy that I can have a yard that my kids could go run around, or a dog can go run around in and stuff. Nah, man, you can keep New York.
You mentioned people that were saying stuff on Twitter and things like that, and there was a specific person that is well known in the sports media industry that had some things to say about the Knicks this morning.
Who was that?
Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, that guy. That guy. Pretty much the opposite show of what we are.
Yes, what we are trying to turn away from that. We'll get into it on the other side of the break. I have a unique take on what he said and people's reaction to it. And we'll also give a little preview of Game 3, because this will be the last time we get a chance to talk before a few more games in this series actually get played. This is the Voice of Land right here on the Big Play Network.
Are you looking for a career in manufacturing? Vector Technical has you covered. Vector Technical is a 28-year-old staffing firm that is partnered with some of the biggest and the best companies throughout Northeastern Ohio. The recruiters at Vector Technical will coach you through the entire job process and will help you land an opportunity that you are truly excited about. Vector does not add any additional fees and offers benefits as well as free online skills training through Penn Foster. To learn more, visit www.vectortechnicalinc.com and make sure to check out our job board to see a full list of our current opportunities and apply.
Welcome back to the Voice of Land right here on the Big Play Network. Kevin Arnold, always positive. Jay, Peter Telich with you one final time on this Wednesday evening. Boy, I've loved doing this Wednesday thing already. Like,
yeah, I definitely like it a lot better.
Yes, definitely better, and having a weekend to just kind of relax, even though I had to relax anyways. I was locked up with COVID, unfortunately. Yeah. No idea how that happened, but we've been talking Cavs and stuff. And again, thank you to a legend, John Telich, for joining us. I'm sure we'll post clips throughout the week of that conversation, some of the stories he had. Before we preview Game 3, someone made a prediction today that a lifelong Knicks fan, or tells you he's a lifelong Knicks fan, Stephen A. Smith, who is someone to look up to, like the way he has gotten into the industry and made a name for himself and what he is doing now. He is still like he's going to go down as one of the legends of this industry.
He's like the ultimate grinder when it comes to work. I got to give him that.
Right. And we started the show, and Paulus and I started the show kind of looking at what he does on First Take and wanting to be the opposite. Every single conversation they have, they just yell at each other. Like someone's got to have a different take and they yell at each other. Like there's no way those words should be coming out of your mouth. No, there's no way those words should be coming out of your mouth. If you disagree, you disagree, like have a heated debate, but
dude, I can get on here and scream.
Right.
Who wants to hear me scream?
No, we want to actually talk through things. But there was a clip floating around of him on First Take this morning saying that there's no way the Cavs can win Game 3. Cavs aren't built for what's going to happen in New York. And again, he has said he wants, if he ever gets into, and he's a big fan of pro wrestling, like I am myself, if he ever to do it, he doesn't want to get in the ring. he wants to be a heel manager. He wants to be Paul Heyman, like someone Jimmy Hart. He wants to be that type of person. That's what he's doing for the Knicks. And he wants the reaction that is going around. Like everyone is quote tweeting the video that First Take posted or who's ever repurposing it and saying like, oh, look what, I bet you can't wait to see what's coming for you. And man, Cavs are about to shut you up. And so our fans are now hyping up our team. I don't agree with what he said. I mean, the Knicks may win, so his prediction may come true. I'm not the greatest predictor, so he's probably got a better track record than me with that too. But that's what the playoffs are about. Like if we forgot since 2018 or, maybe even before that, the first stint that LeBron was here, because when LeBron was here the second time, it just seemed like easy to get back to the finals. We did it every single year. We were just like meant to do that. The playoffs aren't supposed to be easy. This is what it's about. That guy is fearful of what the Cavs can do.
You can hear it in his voice.
I'm sure Cavs fans have seen what the Knicks are capable of now. They're believing it because what they saw in the regular season has translated to the postseason. So you got to take them serious. This is what it's about. Like this back and forth between New York fans and Cleveland fans. Like this is what gets me amped. This is what gets me juiced in postseason and playoff time. This is what it is. This guy is telling you his team's going to win game 3. Guess what? I could come on here and just scream to the rooftops. Man, the Cavs are going into New York. They're going to shut those New York fans up. They're going to beat their ass down just like they did in game 2. But we don't know. The story is yet to be told. And then the next chapter, and then the next chapter in each game. This series could go 7 games, 6 or 7 games. This is exciting. This is what sports is. This is what takes you away from the unfortunate realities of life and the unfortunate, things people have to deal with on a daily basis. I love it. I don't agree with them, but I love it. I love that someone's going to get everybody else amped up. This is what you're supposed to do. Get into it, everybody. This is the playoffs.
Here's what I got to say to my message to Stephen A. Smith. 2 things what you said about, you ain't ever prepared to come in here and playing like that. Well, what is New York basketball known for? It's the biggest stage in the world for basketball. What is the other thing that is known for? Other people coming there and just destroying them and putting up career numbers left and right. Yeah, I could yell too, Stephen A. Smith. And guess what, buddy? My team has won a championship in the last decade. Gone to how many finals in the last 20 years? How many have you gone to? How many do we have gone to more finals than they have playoff appearances in the last 10 years? Get out of here, Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, but wait, they created all that cap space to get LeBron. Oh, wait, they didn't get him. Oh, they created a lot of cap space the next summer for KD. They didn't get the second best player.
They got Carmelo Anthony.
They got Carmelo Anthony. Oh, they were gonna trade for Donovan Mitchell. Oh, wait. Oh, we beat you to it. Oh, sorry. Because like you just said, the Mecca of basketball, it's the Mecca of basketball for the rest of the world. Anybody that plays for New York, it hasn't been.
Like, dude, tell me, like, do you hear about so-and-so went to the Knicks and a Knicks player showed up and had an amazing game? No, you hear about everybody else going there and having amazing games against them. The Jordans having crazy games in the Palace and Kobe having crazy games. LeBron loves to go there and play. I don't know if you knew this. We like to go there and play. We look forward to beating your ass on your own court.
Except when Donovan did go there this year with all the storyline of that he was supposed to be traded there and he wanted to go home. He wanted to go to New York. He had decent games there, but it was almost like he was seeing a ghost. Like he was trying to live up to that. Like, this is the guy that was supposed to play here. I'm going to show you exactly what you're missing out on. Just go be Donovan. Just go be Donovan Mitchell. Go be Spider Mitchell. Help your teammates. Take those steps with you and let's go get at least one. You got to get one in game 3 or game 4. And really, like I said earlier, game 3 is probably the one you want to get because there's a quick turnaround and it's going to be a lot easier for the guys to get to sleep in their own beds for that quick turnaround. Lots going to be going more so in New York's favor than before. No, there's no excuse. If we get game 3, I'm going to be saying we got to go get game 4 too. But there's only one game in front of you right now. There's only one game that can be played right in front of you, and that's game 3. Take what New York's going to give you. They're going to come out and punch you. You've seen it. You can take a punch and fight back. You've seen you can give a punch and knock a team down. You've seen it all. Take the punch and go right back at them. Shut the mecca of basketball up. Make that a silent arena.
You heard Andy Billman say it. We can make their fans turn on them.
Yes.
Our fans won't. Cavs fans will not turn on our team. Knicks fans will.
Yes. They will. They will.
They talk about us not being ready.
They won't just boo opposing teams. They'll boo their own team. They are not afraid to do that. They do know the game of basketball. They are smart about the game of basketball. And when a team isn't performing up to that standard, they will let them hear about it. Make sure the noise in that arena is being directed towards the home team from their own fans, not directed towards you. It's going to come. There's going to be moments. There's going to be ebbs and flows. It's going to give me heart palpitations at home. If there was a camera on me at home, it would be, especially during the playoffs. Jana's getting a new look at it with this being like the first real playoff push that for basketball we've been able to watch together.
Hold on. Is he crazy? That was a yes.
Just
she said a very
just a little bit.
A little bit, also known as a whole lot.
I may scare the rabbit from time to time,
Oh, don't be scaring my little buddy.
I'm not here to make any predictions, but I want to see this team take what they did in game 2 and go on the road. Whatever adjustment you have to make, now is the time. After game 2 into game 3, it's not just about adjustments for your own team, what you didn't do right, especially after a loss. It's about what can we still do better, and how can we anticipate what changes they're going to make for what we did to them to counterpunch that before it even hits us. How can we do that? That's the chess match that they're in. That's what they're going to have to do. That's what they're doing today. That's what they're doing tomorrow as they travel to New York. And by the time tip-off happens at 8:30 or after, because there'll be a long lead up past 8:30 before this game even tips off. But once that ball goes in the air, who do you want to be? What message do you want to send in game 3? How do you seize momentum? I want to see the wine and gold be that team that does that, and not the orange and blue of the Knicks, and maybe make Stephen A. Smith cry a little bit.
Oh, I so badly want to see him just flip out.
It's fun though. It's fun. This back and forth. That's when you got a good series on your hand, when both are going back and forth and both have a valid point behind where their smack talk is coming from. That's when it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's the drama you live for. That's what we live for here in the sports world. Now, before we get out of here for the night, changes could be temporarily coming to the Voice Land. They might come sooner rather than later. As of right now, we will be back as a group next week. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to do it at home.
That's fine.
Just in case. To schedule that. I know we're having a show conversation on the air, but we don't hide anything here on the Voice of Land. But as of right now, this group is supposed to be together in some form or fashion doing this show. My unborn son is on his way, and at the latest, we will be going to the hospital by April 30th. Could be sooner, so maybe we're not together. This could be our last show before paternity leave for myself, or we got one more. But guys, I know that there's plenty of people that want to fill in, and the Voice of Land will keep going. And at some point I will return, because I got to show my son exactly what this is all about. And
come back Faja.
Coming back a father. Whatever my last show is this week or next week, after that, I'm coming back a father, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. And having some fun with you guys and on this show as well. And we can't thank everybody that's tuned in, and John Telich for coming on the show here tonight. Anything anybody's got before we get out of here?
Hell of a show, guys.
Hell of a show. Still 5 minutes over.
Oh, wait. New York, you still suck.
Yes, you do. But that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the Voice of Land. For Always Positive Jay and Peter Tellep, Kevin R. reminding all of you, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. We truly love you all, 3,000.
Don't talk about it, be about it.
And live life, all gas, no brakes. Just like we hope the Cavs play coming up on Friday night in New York. We will talk to you next week, or some form of the show. We'll talk to you next week at 8 p.m. right here on the Big Play Network.